Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, where we provide tailor-made solutions for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies by improving their quality of life, and where we also provide tailor-made solutions to hospitals and intensive care units to save money and resources whilst providing quality care. In last week's blog I shared cutting length of hospital stays could lead to big savings for Victorian health system, the Auditor General has found. You can check out last week's blog by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's blog I want to share what we've been up to during the summer months at Intensive Care at Home. And today I want to share traveling for long-term ventilated adults on a ventilator with tracheostomy. Not a gimmick, it's a reality. Summer is always an exciting time for most people, especially if you love the outdoors. Spending time with family and friends on the beach with a barbecue is the nice reality that most people in Australia live in. Or going on summer holidays, like going to a beach house for a weekend, are nice getaways for healthy people. This is not the case if you're stuck in intensive care on a ventilator with a tracheostomy, and it's also most of the time not an option if you're lucky enough to be at home on a ventilator with the tracheostomy due to the lack of professional and appropriate support. One of our clients at Intensive Care at Home reports a good quality of life at home with the support of our services. This client also wants to live their life to the fullest, and they are always eager to explore the boundaries of their perceived limitations. Lo and behold, we managed to go away with this client during the summer period to 3 trips, 2 weekend trips and 1 longer trip. The alternative would have been to stay at home and wonder what it would have been like to go traveling with this client on a ventilator and with a tracheostomy. If it wasn't for our dedicated support for this client, they would have been in intensive care. And some people in the past, certainly not the client and not their family, have even suggested that a withdrawal of treatment might be, quote unquote, in the best interest of this particular client. The client and their family have chosen life instead, despite their perceived limitations. For most people, intensive care at home might still be a foreign concept, even though it saves hundreds of thousands and millions of taxpayers' money every year. It frees up expensive, precious and in-demand intensive care beds, and it improves the quality of life and or quality of end of life for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies. It's also a concept that has been proven over and over again with our clients, and it's a concept that has been proven for nearly 20 years in most European countries. Once long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies have left a depressing and inhibiting intensive care unit, way more is possible than most patients' families and intensive care clinicians think. Our service at Intensive Care at Home offers a holistic care concept with critical care trained nursing staff that enables our clients and their families to enjoy the best quality of life possible. When traveling with one of our clients, it takes a fair bit of preparation. However, once the logistics are worked out, once the roster is in place, once the accommodation is booked, and once the traveling equipment is organized, clients can enjoy their vacations in spite of their perceived limitations. For anybody still wondering whether intensive care at home is a genuine alternative to a long-term stay in intensive care, for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies? The answer should be evident now, as the proof is in the pudding. Not only is it possible to provide intensive care at home services for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies, it's also possible to go traveling with long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies. The good news is that intensive care at home has the mindset and the can-do attitude to provide both care for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies at home as a genuine alternative to a long-term stay in intensive care, and we can also provide the quality of life for our clients further by going traveling with them. It's a shift in mindset that everybody who still questions the concept of intensive care at home needs to make, and needs to understand that long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies don't have to stay in intensive care and cost the taxpayer $5,000 per bed day. Most intensive care units in Australia are still holding on to outdated and anachronistic care models when it comes to long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies. We are in the 21st century after all. Providing choice to long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies and their families in the 21st century in a first world country like Australia is not optional. It's a given, and it saves millions of dollars of taxpayers' money. What do you think? Do you think that intensive care units have the right mindset when it comes to long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies? Leave your comments on the blog. For more information, you can contact me on 041 094 2230. We're also currently hiring enthusiastic and experienced intensive care nurses with critical care certificate for ventilated clients in Melbourne. We would also like to hear from you if you have a minimum of 2 years pediatric RCU experience, as we have opportunities there as well. For more information, check out our career section or contact me on 041 094 2230. Or if you want to know more about how we can help you, your intensive care units, your patients and your families, or if you have a family member that's long-term ventilated in intensive care with tracheostomy, contact me and I'm sure we can help you. Thank you for tuning into this week's blog. This is Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, and I'll see you again next week in another update.